Let's see. So, I'm just on here today to talk about the phone calls that I made and the people I talked to. So, I got a phone call today from Little Rogers Old School saying that he was absent, but I had submitted a letter of intent about, I don't know, close to 2 weeks ago. When you submit a letter of intent to homeschool your child, they're supposed to respond within like 10 to 14 days and give you a confirmation. So at first I had waited like a week or so, maybe 9 days, something like that. And I sent him to school, and then on September 23rd I sent a note addressed to his teacher and to his principal, and I said that today would be his last day. So I gave them notice on that day that he would no longer be attending school. So there he is in the window. He wants Legos, so we're about to go buy some Legos. So they called me today, of all days, since September 23rd. He has not been in school. They called me today for the first day to tell me he's absent. Now, I had an argument with the lady in his office last week, a lady that I've never had an argument for, with him being in 3rd grade. He's been going to that school, I feel like, since kindergarten, maybe pre-K. Definitely since kindergarten. And, so we have a good repertoire. Like, he's in a 611 class. There's only 5 other students. And I went on field trips every year, whatever. So today's the first day they call me and they say that he's absent. It's like the automated recording. So I call the office and I get the lady that I argued with last week. Hey, Steph. And so I get the lady I argued with last week, and I nicely ask for the principal, who was taking a course at the time, so she couldn't take my call. So I leave a message for the principal nicely, and the principal calls me back. So she calls me and says, how am I? I say, great. How are you? She's like, great. I'm like, today's the first day that you guys call me reporting my son absent, and I submitted the letter of intent to homeschool him, a long time ago. So she said she will send an email and copy me on it to notify the people who report the school homeschooling. So I had also gotten an email today about the DPCC meeting, which is Tuesday, October 12th from 6 to 8. It's for Buffalo parents who want to, I guess, help their kids, So I posted on there today who wants to go, who's planning on going. And I called the number at the bottom to Wendy Mistrada, who's the person listed on all the emails that I've been getting for years that my kids have been going to school. So I call the number and I get a voicemail. So I hang up and I call the number again, and I get a voicemail and I leave a voicemail. Or I didn't leave a voicemail. I actually texted her because it also said call or text. So I texted, please call me Lisa Miller. She calls me. Hi, Wendy. She tells me who she is. She lets me know that she's part of the DPCC group. She said that there was 5 parent groups for Buffalo. I'm guessing that's Facebook groups. But there's 5 of them. Now, I told her how I had joined the Buffalo Parent-Teacher Organization Facebook group. I want to say like September 16th, 17th, or 18th. And I emailed the administrator of the group when I joined. And I said, hi, have you seen either of these documents? Now, the documents were a Mark Poloncarz letter dated September 17th for Erie County. It's addressed to Erie County. And the other letter is a CDC letter. And it talks about the CDC, and it's from sometime in 2020, I think December 2020. So I asked the administrator of the BPTO Facebook group, Kate Shan's Hack or whatever, I DM'd her and said, have you seen either one of these documents? So what she proceeded to do was ignore me, not respond, but block me from the group. Now, I didn't know right away. I didn't really care. Like, I don't care if somebody blocks me from a group. Like, oh well, I just won't be part of that group. So then I get an email the following week inviting me to a meeting that was held by Buffalo parents and the teacher organization. It was September 25th, which I did a live at, which they were rude to me very quickly. They called me nefarious before the meeting started. They don't pray and they don't pledge allegiance because one lady is Native American. So I believe in freedom of religion, freedom, all that. But anyways, I guess I'll get to the point since I'm losing people. I'm just upset because this woman from the parent group, this Wendy Mistretta, she basically said she doesn't believe anything that I shared with her after I shared it with her. So I'm like, well, what I'm telling you is not really an opinion. You can verify it. I want to show the proof. You know, that's what I'm calling for. You know, and then she's like, well, I can't tell anybody to not come to the meeting. So what is that? Are you telling me to not come to the meeting on October 12th? And she did follow up with saying that the people that will be at that meeting, their feelings won't align with mine. So I think she's saying that they won't trust what I'm saying. And all I said were a couple simple things about the PCR test not being a fair test to use as diagnostics for COVID. About the COVID test that I will not have my daughter go get because she had a stuffy nose to return to school. She has not been to school since September 24th until today because she had, it was honestly a sore throat. She said she woke up with a sore throat on the 24th, so I didn't send her to school out of respect for other parents and their kids and not wanting to get anybody sick. I'll keep you home with me and you could stay sick in my house until you're better and we'll clean everything and you can go back out. So I kept her home Friday. Now, Friday before lunchtime, I said, Haley, how's your throat? And she said it was fine. So I didn't think that Haley was actually really sick because she said she felt better. I only got to pull one neck. So she said she was feeling better Friday the 24th. So we proceeded with her birthday party on the 25th. And now the morning of September 25th, I had went to the Buffalo parent-teacher meeting that was public at East High Street or something like that. East High was being the school. Then we went to a medical rally downtown trying to help with medical freedom for everybody, just to get people a fair choice. Like, that's all I'm ever trying to advocate is for fair choice and to have some say in what happens to my kids' lives. But nobody in the Buffalo Public Schools wants to talk about that or address it. And now I hear yesterday on Newsmax that schools are getting the FBI and the DOJ involved with parents, like saying that parents are going crazy at school board meetings or something. Terrorists. They're calling us terrorists based on the Patriot Act. Domestic terrorist parents are these days fighting for free choice for the schools. So Haley, we had her birthday party on the 25th because, like I said, she only had a sore throat for like a couple hours in the morning. I thought maybe she just didn't want to go to school. She was fine later that day, no fever, nothing. She went to the party on Saturday. Sunday she was fine. Monday she wakes up with a stuffy nose. So she had a stuffy nose. I didn't send her to school Monday. I didn't send her to school Tuesday. Haley, how's your nose? Can you go back? You know, you can't miss too many days. So she's like, Wednesday she felt like she could go back. So last Wednesday I sent Haley to school. And Haley went to school from 9 a.m. until like 1:30. They call us and they're like, come get Haley because she's not supposed to be in school without a doctor note or a negative COVID test. Okay, well, I'm not doing a COVID test, so what is the time frame of quarantine, which is one of the questions I have been posing at all of the Board of Education meetings. What is your plan for quarantining? Because there is no plan for quarantining. Their plan is to send your kid home for 10 days or whatever with no work and no plan. You know, that remote learning, all them devices they gave out, all those apps that they had us do, that's long gone. You know, the answer to snow days, having remote learning available, no, they're not doing that. It's not about more work for the teachers. It's about less work for the teachers. Teachers, I believe, had a great vacation getting to do nothing and get paid. Now, no offense, I'm not saying they did nothing because I just said that, but they, a lot of them didn't attend classes where my kids went. They would be absent, there'd be a lot of subbing, there'd be no class, whatever. The past couple years of school have been kind of BS. So I just can't believe that nobody I talk to really cares about the science. It's all about the money. And I tried telling the woman, we can go get the Legos. Rod, you want to say hi to the camera?
Thanks.
Do you miss school?
Yeah.
You do? Do you like wearing a mask in school?
I don't know.
You don't know? Do you like doing
I
homeschooling?
thought you guys had left.
Yeah.
And I thought he was just walking.
Okay.
Get in the house.
All right, go back.
And I thought he had just walked out of the house.
Come on. Alana's school was closed today, so Alana goes to a high school, and they had a power outage today, so Alana's not in school. But Haley was able to go back to school. So, yeah, it's just crazy that the woman I spoke to in this parent thing, they don't care about the science. They're not going by any kind of evidence. The answer to protecting the kids, I guess, is wearing masks that don't work. So I'm just really confused, and now the kids distracted me and I lost my thought. There's a meeting October 12th for the DPCC, and that is, I guess, like the Congress of Parents. So there's like 5 parent groups, and I guess this one gets to make decisions. I'm like, well, that's what I've been trying to be a part of, is making a decision about the reopening of schools, because last school year they waited till 2 weeks before schools were to start to tell us that they weren't starting, which was a huge shock, because after them not going to school from March to June and then having the summer off of 2020 and everything pretty much being back to normal around my parts, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how they pretended there was something in the fall to prevent them from going back to school, but we were told they would go back in like November, and then we all waited till November, and then it was December, then it was February, and my son went back last March 1st through June, whatever, 5 days a week because he's 6'1", and it was awful, like with him wearing the masks, but we let him do it because it was still, like, we were happy for him to be back in school. Now they're trying to like make people perpetuate that. I hear that there's a caravan of 60,000 migrants coming to our border, and that's very worrisome. Especially there was just like an article in the Buffalo News that a Nigerian guy who's 32 just got arrested for some scam, some email scam. Now I guess he only frauded 4 people, but he got a couple $100,000, and I don't understand how he got that much money from 4 people, but whatever. There should be a legal process. That legal process could and should be revised to like streamline it, make it more efficient. I have heard there's like long wait times and stuff, but they shouldn't just let everybody come freely or give citizenship freely, because until we take care of the Americans that live here, you know, we shouldn't try to let the whole world in. What we should do is help the people in other places correct things that are knowingly going wrong, like irrigation, or if there's too many mosquitoes and they need nets, or if they need certain medicines. Jumping to that, I don't understand why still the FDA recommends treatment for the flu within 24 to 48 hours with antiviral medications, but the NIH, the National Institute of Health, says to not treat COVID until you are in the hospital with your oxygen less than level 92. So with just so many lies, there's just so many lies, guys, I don't even know. But it's very disheartening. Like, I couldn't even get my medical exam that I needed yesterday because the staff at the place is so rude. They're so rude, all about masks and about masks, really. Like, you're telling adults to put masks on your face that have air holes. Like, the virus is very tiny, and the holes in the mask are bigger than the virus, so the virus is able to go through. So they really don't make sense, and they say so right on the warning labels. But Okay, let's just jump to a different subject because I can't stay on one subject, guys. But in December 10th of 2020, when Pfizer went to the FDA to request emergency use authorization for the Pfizer vaccine, the data that they submitted, which is available for anybody to look at, it's like a 53-page report, I feel like. Give me a tissue. The Pfizer request that they said that it's effective, 95% effective across everybody, every race, every age group, every demographic, like sex, gender, everything, that the Pfizer vaccine was 95% effective at preventing the virus. So the emergency use authorization was a request saying that it was 95% effective at preventing the transmission. Excuse me. And so, I gotta fix my nose ring. Okay, it's good. Okay, so their request was based on a false, that we know now to be false, right? But yet the FDA just went and approved it like 3 weeks ago. So I don't understand how they requested it on a false sentence and then it got approved, because they did not prove that that was correct, but yet it's now approved by the FDA. So like, my concern is that the FDA, the WHO, the Department of Justice, the Department of Health and Human Services, and everybody's been compromised, and it's just very scary and sad. But like, there's so many people in the United States. There's like 331 million of us, and there's only 2 million governmental people. So that means we outnumber them a lot. Now, I'm not saying to do anything violent. I'm not. But I really think that people need to start caring more and trying to help me, if you can, like, make a difference, because I'm going to a lot of meetings. I'm talking to a lot of government officials, or trying to. I'm trying to get like teachers and school board of ed members to look at data, but they like usually just brush me off with telling me to email them. Like, I'm not going to email you. If you want to talk, I'll talk to you. If you want to meet in person, I'd love to meet you in person and show you my evidence, because I printed the New York reopening plan for schools, which is 263 pages. And yeah, 263 pages on reopening plans for schools. I'm deeply concerned with how much money the schools have gotten and what they are doing with it. When I heard the audits that were at the school board meetings that were being done in the accounting, they said documents did not match records. Okay, if documents don't match records, that means there's a problem. She said there was no problem, like nothing to worry about, like nothing major, red flaggish. They did say that they had more than 4% of funds in this one account. This was at the Hamburg school board meeting. My kids don't go to Hamburg, but I went just trying to see what's going on. So they said if it's more than 4% in this account, they're supposed to give it to the student union, but they're not going to give it to the student union. They don't have any plans to give it to the students. I love like donating my time and whatever money I can afford. Right now I can't afford much because there's so much going on. But like seeing schools raise funds when they just opened up and they're forcing masks. What do you need money for? Like, I'd love to support you, I really would, but what do you need money for when New York just got $9 billion? Our cut of the America's Rescue Plan, you know, the pretty name on the big, huge bill that's bankrupting our country, the America Rescue Plan gave $8.9 billion to New York, so I call it close to $9 billion. And there's only 4,421 schools in New York. So it only comes out to like $3,600 per student, but why can't they give a portion of that to the students and let it follow the student? I don't understand why they can't do that. That kid can get sneakers, a winter coat, maybe a couple outfits, maybe their school supplies, maybe a new electronic, so that their parents don't have to pay all that money. You know, my daughter's cell phones cost me $200. They're on their own AT&T plan, and I pay $200 a month for an 11-year-old and a 15-year-old to have a cell phone. Like, okay, that's my own fault because I do it, but I need to be able to get a hold of my kids because they go to school or they're on the bus and there's a problem. I can't leave them not reachable. So that's why I do it. And cricket, I'm not sure how well, whatever. Getting way off topic again. So I feel like all that money for the schools, they should have spent some of that money to follow the kids. And I suggested that at the last meeting, which was live. I have the whole thing live, and my page is, a lot of it's public, but they didn't like any of my ideas. And the Buffalo Public Board of Ed and like the parents that go there, no matter what their race is, I feel a lot of reverse racism. If you guys know me, you know I'm not a racist person. And it's very sad that America is no longer known as the nation of diversity and tolerance, because that's how I grew up in the Buffalo Public Schools, was to be tolerant and respect all cultures, never make fun of anybody for any reason by their looks or anything. And now, like, people are being praised for their ethnicity, and I don't give praise to what you were born with, like what your gender is and what your ethnicity is. I don't give anybody credit for that. Like, I don't give myself credit for being white or think there's any credit to that, okay? So race is just part of the human race. It's melanin in your skin. So the Buffalo Parent Teacher Organization is very racist towards white people. I know that's fine and we deserve it because, of our horrible history, but like my grandparents, my dad's grandparents were from Poland and my mom's grandparents were from Italy, right, to my knowledge. So both of my grandparents were from different countries. So like putting people together equal more people. Like, I didn't do anything to any race to deserve this reverse racism, and I wish that people could just stop all racism and that they should just make it illegal. But they won't, because evil people are in power, and that's like a huge problem. So I cannot believe that that Biden, like, hold on. What did Biden just do? Oh, his crappy speech yesterday. Oh my goodness. He's trying to promote crazy spending, saying it's going to cost people zero. How is that even possible? How are you going to print trillions of dollars and cost it zero when we're already paying more for gas? We can't even like move because you can't find an apartment for rent, right? Because apartments for rent can range between like $1,000 and $2,000. And my mortgage was only $250 for like the past 13 years, right? So I've been paying a mortgage of less than $300 for 13 years. I don't want to. I would love to move, but we can't even move because you can't just go and buy a house anywhere with the markets the way they are. And who wants to take on any type of new payment that when the economy is unstable, you know what I mean? Like, I've been blessed to not be struggling that much.
You have to hurry.
I have to hurry for Legos. What time is it?
I don't
Can you go look at this? Let me see what Roger.
1 o'clock.
Huh?
1 o'clock.
How about at 1:30? 1:30, 30 minutes.
Sure.
Please? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I got 30 minutes to get Roger Legos. I have a pounding headache. So Biden is trying to pass this bill that encompasses a lot of stuff in it. He's calling it infrastructure and saying how China spends all this money on infrastructure. And we just don't need all this spending. Anything else? Anything that you could think of? I'm trying to think of what else is going on besides Biden. Oh, like Newsom. I can't believe Gavin
there's too many
Newsom.
things going
I
on.
can't believe Gavin Newsom did not get recalled. They had enough signatures to even get him recalled. Then they said that they had to beat him by more than 50% of the vote. And he did not even get 50% of the vote himself. So they divided it between I don't know how many different candidates, and therefore he didn't get recalled. And now he's trying to go harsher with these vaccination policies. I don't get what's up with the mandatory vaccine, because if anybody knows anything about it, they know that it's hurting people, and they're not talking about the adverse events that you can look up at www.openvaers.com/COVID-data. That's www.openvaers.com/COVID-data. So if you go there, you'll see that over 1.5 million adverse events have been reported. Now that could be 1% of the reporting. They actually believe that if you multiply it by 40, that's the real number. I heard that 45,000 people died from the injection in like one study. 45,000. But the censorship is just crazy. And I'm so sick of the lies on TV. I feel like everybody's waiting for them to be like, okay, surprise, here's the truth. And everyone's hoping for that, right? Where they could just roll out the truth and like end the craziness and the madness that a lot of my high school friends, some of them even do, like they're involved in. I just don't believe that the masking is true, and that's science. So the science is Fauci's science. If you can't trust Fauci, he has money invested in the vaccines, and he gave money to the Wuhan lab of virology by giving it to Dr. Dasick, who subcontracted it to Dr. Shi. So that's known. Again, the EUA request to Pfizer back in 12/10 of 2020, if you read it yourself, fraudulent knowledge, fraudulent data right there in plain view. If you go on the CDC website, you're going to learn that like 95% of COVID positives have been false. They say 37 million people got it. There's 331 million in the US. That's like 10%ish. So only 10% of our whole population even contracted this supposed virus, right? So let's just say we believe that number. It's still 10%. Well, why aren't the other 90% getting it? Why is only 10% getting it? And besides that, we know it's because the PCR test is not a diagnostic test. It was never meant to be a diagnostic test. I love how I see everybody on and watching, but like it says there's one person watching. That's hilarious. Where was I, babe? Any idea?
I was reading.
Fucker, he wasn't listening.
There's so many.
Okay, so yeah, the Pfizer, the reopening plans for New York schools, okay, that too, that 53-page document, they, Jen, even though lives always do that, they shouldn't do that, because if they were legit, they would tell you how many people's really watching. But the problem is that Facebook has been censoring for 1.5 years, which is why they just had this fake whistleblower come out, so that they can get away with trying to censor you even more and have it known. They're like, yeah, we are fraudulent, but, you know, here we're going to admit it a little bit just to fraud you more. Which you're not allowed to say fraud on, like, Instagram.
Frog.
If you put fraud, they won't let you post it. They'll put, like, red exclamation points and everything like that. So I just can't fathom why we have a false diagnostic test diagnosing a disease that 80% of people are asymptomatic to, probably because they have a false positive. Do you know the false positivity rate, if it's really as bad as it, shows, They say like if they do 1 million tests a day, like 10,000 are false positives. So if you're false positive or getting false positives for 10,000 people a day, then that's a lot of people that you're now quarantining, which is a bunch of other people that you're chain reacting quarantines for. So what's with the false positives? And then, okay, Kamala Harris, she's assigned as border czar. I don't know if that's like her
What time
laughable
is
name or if that's really what they labeled her, but she hasn't been there, which she brags that she hasn't been to Europe either. But why don't you maybe just take them? Raj, I'm talking to everybody about the world right now, and I would love to. I'll get you your Legos. We'll even check for both if you just let me do it. If you can give me some time. It's not 1:30.
I need you to hurry.
I need. Go read a book for me, please.
Yeah,
Okay,
come on, let's
so-
go read a book.
Now, can you please remind me where I was?
Then we can go there.
He's too. He asked me what time.
He
it
really
was.
wants these Legos.
Like,
Every time I buy him Legos, he
I'm
builds
trying
them
not to
all
let
in
him
one
distract
day,
You, but he's distracting both of us.
and then he wants more. He wants. I don't even know. Okay. So, PCR test. It's not a diagnostic test. The COVID test is a cancerous swab. It's sprayed with a cancerous gas. So I don't want the swab anywhere near my nose or my kid's nose or my family's member's nose. My mom had a knee surgery June 28th. They had the COVID swab her. While we were at the COVID test, I say to the lady, hey, can you look on the back of that and read the warning label for me? Sterile EO. Okay, do you know that sterile EO is a cancer-causing gas that's sprayed on that to keep it sterile? No, I did not know that. Okay, yeah, now that you know that, I just wanted you to know what you're about to shove up my mother's nose to get her surgery. Okay, wonderful. That went nowhere. They're actually just made a COVID test that you can have at home now. So now, what are you going to be doing? Doing something and sending it in somewhere and trusting the results that you get? Or do you get the results at home like a pregnancy test, I wonder? And what is all the testing for? If you don't feel sick, if you don't know you're sick, why are we testing? Just to waste money? Just to what? Why aren't we treating COVID? Why don't they just talk about that? Why don't they use hydroxychloroquine or ivermectin? You know, ivermectin penetrates very deep into the lungs and it can save people if they're on ventilation. Why don't they want to give people ivermectin? They banned it. It's banned. You can't. There was like a court case where I think a wife had to get it for her husband and it saved him. But they made her fight for it through a court case. And the National Institute of Health, they say don't treat COVID until you are in the hospital with oxygen levels under 92. So it's just insane. It's insane. It's insane that the educators of our kids' school are running with these lies. It's a shame that when I go to any doctor's office, my dermatologist the other day, they have it nicely. You don't have to wear a mask if you're vaccinated, okay? Just so everybody knows, I identify as vaccinated. I am not vaccinated. I identify as vaccinated. So if you're allowed to identify things, I elect to be an identifier, and I'd like to identify as a vaccinated person so I do not have to wear a mask when I go to a public place, okay? Because if I have to pay, I'm not going to pay if I don't get my right to choose, unless I'm forced, which medical in schools is where they've been able to force us here yet in New York. So yeah, the COVID test is cancerous because of the sterile EO, cancer-causing gas. The vaccine, Dr. Jane Ruby, she says that it's made up of 99.913% of ethylene, not ethylene glycol. Graphene oxide, excuse me. Okay, 99.913% graphene oxide. She had a undiluted Pfizer vaccine, right? You have to dilute it into 6 doses. They didn't dilute it. She got her hands on a Pfizer vaccine. They had the chain of custody, all the sheriffs and police officers that were involved in the transport of the unopened, sealed Pfizer vaccine. She got it into her hands, you know, she looked at it under a microscope, and she shows you what she sees under the microscope. And if you put a side-by-side picture between graphene oxide and the Pfizer vaccine, what was showing on the microscope, she said it's a 99.913% match. Now, what is graphene oxide? It's the #1 ingredient in antifreeze. So she's saying that it's pretty toxic and pretty poisonous. That's why so many people getting it have been hurt or killed. I have a friend, you guys probably know her since you are all my friends on here so far. Her parent passed away a day after he got the vaccine. She posted it on Facebook, and if I remember my dates, it was February 25th that he passed. I have clients that got the vaccine who were healthy, who were healthy, pretty much, and you know, they're not here today after the vaccine. Why don't they report to the vaccine, like the adverse reactions? They're actually told not to report them, or they tell the people themselves to report them. So that's for that. I heard that ECMC was laying off 400 nurses and doctors or healthcare workers. That's pretty scary, because when my brother was in a fire, he went to ECMC, to the burn unit, where they have great burn doctors. And, yeah, so if ECMC doesn't have workers when people get shot or get in fires or have trauma, then where are they going to go? I have a friend right now who's pregnant with twins. You guys might know her. She had a problem with Mercy Hospital because the workers are on strike. So I would be so scared if I had a baby in my belly and I had to worry about somebody being able to deliver it, because that would be pretty scary. I'd probably be doing that in a bathtub somewhere when the time came, and who knows how that would separate and whatnot. Tom McDonald actually is where I ordered this shirt from, and it says defund propaganda, which is what we have on social media these days. A lot of propaganda and a lot of you know, lies. That's what's allowed to be put on. But if you listen to Tom McDonald and any of his music, he's got great lyrics, great truth in what he says, and he could say much better than I'm saying. You know what I mean? Easier. So see, that says what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. I got that like last year, and it's very sad that people in power, bug in my face, the people in power are able to lie. You know, my job requires me to not disparage my competitors, to not use superlatives, which means bigger, best, greatest. My job says you cannot write down anything that you want and just show it. You have to like get it, not necessarily, like you can't advertise without approval, okay, on anything that you want to do. Very, very strict guidelines that I follow. But why do politicians get to lie openly on commercials with like taxpayer funded donations and whatnot? Why do they get to lie on their commercials and say like, oh, this one did that and this one did that? Why? I don't understand why you're allowed to lie on TV. Now, I'm all for freedom of speech, so I agree with freedom of speech 100%. You cannot not agree 100%. You either agree or you disagree. You believe in freedom of speech, or you believe it needs some kind of, you know, whatever. So, I believe that freedom of speech is guaranteed. You know Voltaire, this is what I learned back in school. I may not agree with what you say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. I don't know if that quote's accurate. I mean, it is accurate. I just don't know if it's 100% accurate. It's probably like 99.9% accurate. But yeah, that's what Voltaire said. So that's what we grew up knowing, is that freedom of speech. America's supposed to be land of the free, home of the brave. You know, I don't understand why, like, the Board of Ed for Buffalo, they're on like the 1619 project, and they are very hard pushing for CRT, which now they relabel to CLRT, which is culturally linguistic RT something. So they change it a little bit instead of critical race theory, but they're saying like that America was founded in 1619 when the first slaves were brought here. That's what I've been told. But America, to my knowledge, was founded in 1492 when Columbus founded it. Now, yes, it was inhabited by people at the time because it did exist. It's not 1:30, go check. But, so 1492 is when Columbus came, and then 1619 might have been when, what I heard was like 30,000 slaves came over, but I believe they were sold by their own ancestors, right? They were forced to come here, right, these 30,000, but I've since learned that like 300 million, or no, like millions have come over voluntarily since. So while it is a tragedy to have 30,000 ripped from their homes and uprooted and made to do god-awful things that no human being should have been made to do, which is what the Northerners always believed. You know, like the North was not for slavery and the South was for slavery, and that slavery's always been a democratic thing, but they try to pretend there's some big switch that happened. There was no big switch. Democrats have always been the party behind slavery, and slavery is very wrong, but they're trying to promote segregation today, and for different ways. They're advocating it in a different way, saying like things should be segregated. No, they shouldn't. I heard about this school, forgive me, I don't remember the state, but the principal was black, and she actually segregated the classes herself, and there was 6 white classes and 1 black class, and the parent of the black student was upset because she didn't want her student or her kid to just be in a black class. She wanted everyone to be together. Well, this principal thought that segregation was good, and she chose to do that. That's discrimination. Like, nobody should be discriminated upon, because of their skin. That's my opinion. It is. I see a lot of posts going around about taxes. Like this one says, you should be able to pee clean if you want to get welfare. And then there's one that says that workers who work for money on the books, they have to pee clean. So if the workers have to pee clean to, have their taxes go to governmental programs to help people who don't work or whatever, they should have to pee clean too. So I do agree with that. But I mean, then again, we got to get into freedom, right? Like, you're free as an adult to do what you want, but there should be fair limitations. I don't think it should just be against the people working hard, doing all the actual labor. So anyways, going back to the bit about the slavery part, like how the 30,000 came over and then like 3 million came over voluntarily. It's always been like a North and South fight, I guess, like back in the the day before the Civil War. But the Civil War is important to know that what happened in 1864-65, 300,000 white soldiers gave up their lives to defend the freedom of slaves and to not have slavery. So like, I feel like that's being lost, because I feel like the real problem with the world is like the rich versus the average, right? Because it's really about the elite using all of us as like peons. We get the contaminated food to eat and the contaminated water out of our faucets, and we get the Medicaid or whatever, if people get that. That's a huge problem, is Medicaid, because Medicaid's all taxpayer, and what I find is like with budgets, they never have to stick to their budget, and people are always trying to spend those budgets so that they don't get reduced next year, which people like your house, you should be able to run a budget. If you can't budget well and manage your budget, then you probably shouldn't be running whatever treasury funds that you have control of, right? Same thing for the government. The government is trying to raise the debt ceiling and to be able to print more money. Well, we can't do that. We can't have uncurbed spending. They should have accountability. They should tell us what they want to do with the money, and they should have to prove that they do that with the money. Biden's son, Hunter, you know, his laptop was stolen or left at a place and whatever. And there's videos of him hurting children on there. There's videos of him, I believe, doing crack on there, I've heard and seen a little bit. And now he's blowing paint through a straw and getting paid $500 million by who knows who. He also admits that 10% of what he gets goes to Biden. So that sounds like a conflict of interest. That sounds like people are getting paid off huge amounts of money. You know, like I work very hard for my money, and how expensive things are, it's making my money be worth a lot less, right? The inflation is insane. And we just cannot have this uncurbed spending. The $3.5 trillion thing that they're trying to pass, it's got a lot of things tied into it, and they're holding pretty much like our country, hi Steve, hostage. They're saying that if they don't pass it, they're going to shut down the government over this infrastructure money. Now, to me, the year's almost over. There should be plenty of money to go around. I don't understand how they're just printing and printing hundreds of dollars. You see all them stacks of, they fold it. It's so many $100 bills on these sheets. They're just printing it. Like, wow, I gotta go very hard and work very hard to earn just a little bit of money. You know, it's crazy. But I can't believe Biden's trying to pass this spending bill. It has all Pelosi's stuff that she's been trying to get rolled up in it, and for some reason I just have like this headache that won't let me get past my thought on that and let me think of it. But they're tying all of it in. All this bad stuff is tied into the bill, so if they approve the bill, then all that bad stuff. Oh yeah, okay, $600. Biden wants to monitor our bank accounts. He wants to hire 85,000 IRS agents to monitor the bank accounts of American citizens for anybody who has $600 or more. Why would I want the government to know that I have $600 in my account and where and what I'm spending my money on? I pay my taxes. The money comes in. It's all itemized and whatever. He really wants these Legos. Every time I tell him it's the last Lego, he agrees, and then he just says he wants a new Lego. And he wants like 5 of them right now. But, yeah, $600? You want to monitor people's bank accounts with $600 in it? That's ridiculous. And then Pelosi wants to federalize and legalize abortions at any term up to birth. What, so like the day before you're due, you could say, cut it out of me and kill it? Do you guys know that when babies are in the mother, they stick a device like in the back of their head and they pierce it, and then they like suck it out all out of like through a vacuum, and then all its parts are just sucked out. That's awful. That's awful. And those babies probably feel it, and they say that the babies actually back up and try to float back in the womb. Can you imagine being a baby, having nowhere to go? You're stuck in the stomach and you're a freaking baby, probably can't even see, and you're fighting what's hurting you. And to make the babies out of the mothers, they C-section them at 4 to 5 months gestation, and they operated on the babies without anesthesia. That's so evil and cruel. Sorry, it said to move to get a better signal. So, yeah, they aborted babies to make these vaccines, and then they're pumping that into people's bodies. I don't get how companies, healthcare systems, how they're promoting lies. How do they promote the health and safety? Like, yesterday I left my mammogram without finding out if I had cancer or not for this lump that I, thought I had. Well, whatever that I felt. So I didn't wait for my results because I was there for almost 2 hours, and like they didn't explain things at all, and the staff was extremely rude at South Towns Radiology because they're so nasty and concerned about your mask. Know whether or not you've been around somebody with COVID. They don't even tell you to not wear deodorant to a mammogram. They don't tell you how long you're expected to wait or who's supposed to review your results or how you have to wait. So after like an hour and some odd minutes, I finally left. And they called me and they're like, oh, we would have liked to talk to you about it. And I'm like, I'm sorry I didn't stay the 2 hours and I only stayed the hour and 45 minutes. But I was like, I'm done. I'm up to here with the bullshit. Like, with the masks, they don't help. Okay? I've to date never even had one. So, how dangerous and how likely is somebody to get it, when I've gone this entire time without catching it? So, I don't know.
In a lot of places.
Yeah, we've gone to Florida in April. We went to Great Wolf Lodge, swam with everybody, swam with all the people at our camps pool. You see the football stadiums everywhere. They're shoulder to shoulder. It's not about health and safety. They're promoting such stupidity on local television. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm tired of losing respect for people by being complicit. If you're complicit or you comply, you're sort of guilty. You know what I mean? Like, I comply at the medical stuff because do I have a choice? So I just can't believe that they're trying to get the FBI and the DOJ against parents now at Board of Education meetings saying that we're the problem when they're the ones that are so busy doing nothing all day that they don't even follow the science. Like, did they read the Pfizer EUA request to the FDA 12/10 of 2020? Did they even read their own New York reopening plan that says that they had a virtual meeting on July 23rd of 2020 where people voiced that they wanted masks for 2021? Like, how does that even make sense? How are we wearing masks in 2021? So, I hope that if anybody lives in Buffalo, that you guys can come to this meeting on October 12th. Hopefully Wendy Mistrata will be there because she says that none of them believe what I've said. So how are you guys in the public school system ignoring the science? And what are you even listening to? Are you listening to COVID killing as many children as suffocation? 0.2%. 0.2, not even 1%. It's less than 1%. 0.2 is the COVID death rate for kids. And I don't even believe that because they labeled everybody with COVID as COVID. Not who died from COVID. Not caused by COVID. With COVID was called COVID. Doctors were told to label that as COVID for the first time ever in history. Normally, if they died of pneumonia or, something like that, it says pneumonia, and then there's subcategories of what else contributed to the death. These are just COVID. You want to know why? COVID gets you paid. So, hey Bree. I was just about to go because I don't really know what else to say, and my kid is patiently waiting for these Legos that we gotta go drive to Best Buy and go get, right, buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're still waiting for his homeschool pack of stuff to come in, and we ordered it from The Good and the Beautiful. and it teaches kids about God and about like science, and you get to pick all the curriculum. So he's gonna have his science unit on arthropods. Science and history is done as a family. You learn it together. And then math and reading and writing would pretty much be like a one-on-one thing. So I'm excited for that, and hopefully that comes today because we've just been reading books and doing other things for now. But I just can't see my kid going to a school where they don't even get 30 minutes to eat lunch. They get like 15 minutes and they gotta take turns with like another group. They gotta wear a mask all day. They're not allowed mask breaks, even though teachers take mask breaks. Just the masks make no sense. It's not an opinion, it's fact. You can look it up. It says it right on the warning labels. Masks don't work. Anything else?
We didn't win the Powerball.
Um,
That would have been nice.
yeah, sorry guys, that's all I got. Does anyone want to ask anything? Or if they don't agree with anything, want to debate anything? Got a terrible headache.
Yeah.
So, alright, well, everyone have a blessed day. And guess what? I'm going to be doing only lives because Facebook is so horrible. I'm tired of posting. I post a lot of stuff and it gets like no traction. And I don't blame anybody. And I don't think everybody should just be waiting around to see what I post by any means. But it's just like unused effort or like worthless effort, I guess. If only like 3 people see it. Whatever. I'd rather just talk and talk because I'm sick of listening to BS. So, have a blessed day, guys.